There aren't many games that have had FBI involvement, being sued by the government, condemned in a dozen countries. So that probably does single us out.
Video games like Postal.
Going Postal.
Going Postal. New video game. It's called Postal.
Going Postal means shooting everyone in sight.
Going Postal, The Legacy Foretold is a brand new documentary covering the entire history of the Postal franchise, as well as the people that made it at Running with Scissors. From the good, to the bad, to the downright ugly. It's been years in the making, filmed all over the world, and clocks in at almost 2 hours long, with interviews from the developers of the games, to the cast and crew of the movies, to more niche events that really fleshes out the impact the series has had on the media landscape. Full disclosure, I was sent the documentary pre-release and for free. Also, this review may not be completely unbiased, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I kinda like Postal. Stick around to the end to see an exclusive clip from the documentary. Starting off in the prehistory age, covering the humble beginnings of Vince Desi, from wheeling and dealing in the 70s, through the video game crash of the 80s, all while meeting up with other key characters until eventually finding a home in Arizona, and spawning Running with Scissors in the 90s. This helps build more of an understanding of how Postal came about in the first place, before building up to the game's launch, and the many entities and government bodies that rallied against it. Banned and blacklisted, but not beaten, it would only take Running with Scissors a few years to drop another bombshell on the gaming sphere. Postal 2 brought about its own set of controversies, and only increased the ire of media scrutiny, earning it the moniker of the worst game ever. There's in-depth coverage of the Postal movie, how Uwe Boll was introduced to the series, as well as the troubled development of Postal 3 during the global financial collapse of 2008, and all of the subsequent fallout that followed. The key word to describe the documentary is on the cover, legacy. This is the most thorough look at Running with Scissors, Postal, and all things in between that you could hope for. It's intensely informative, with what must be thousands of hours of interview footage, condensed to tell the tale. But it also has a stylish flair, with animated segments and lots of small aesthetic touches peppered throughout. Also, the score is fantastic. I feel like that's something that's really easy to overlook, but yeah, it fucking bangs. It goes a long way to humanize the people involved, not just the Running with Scissors crew, but also detractors of the games. Time is given to Robert Coffey, who gave Postal 2 a 0 in the Computer Gaming World magazine, and allows him to talk about the threats he received in response. Time is also given to those living in the aftermath of real-world atrocities, who advocate against violence in video games. Even if you disagree with their stance, it's hard not to empathize with where they're coming from. There's a fairly even-handed approach to heavy topics, and it shows a willingness to not be completely one-sided. It's shocking that, despite its track record, Running with Scissors is still around today, through the uphill battle of combating censorship and ridicule in the gaming space worldwide, as well as the disastrous launch of basically everything they've ever released. Regardless of how you feel about the games or the company, both past and present, the documentary is fantastic, and you will walk away from it knowing a lot more about everyone involved. 9 out of 10. Go see it. Here's a clip.
With the negative comes like a bunch of positive. We also got 5 out of 5 from another media outlet that was also listed on Game Rankings, so that led us to approach the Guinness Records about giving us a Guinness record for the most divisively reviewed game, and we actually were awarded the most critically divisive game in history because we received a 0 and a 100. Now 22 years later, since Postal 1 came out, we are somehow still the most banned and blacklisted company in the world.
A while back, the industry took some heat in California with some corrupt senator that was fighting against the game industry. So the industry itself took the case to the US Supreme Court, and we got word that they would be using Postal 2 as the flagship title in defense of the industry.
The only thing that I found was clearly covered by the statute was Postal 2. I mean, how would you describe in plain English what morbid violence is?
Dismembering, torturing, sexually assaulting, and those types of violence.
And thank God they did vote in favor of Postal 2 and freedom of expression and the video game industry. Thank you, justices.
It wasn't until the game was released in Russia by Kella that it really started selling big units, and it was a a smash fucking hit in Russia.
Postal was extremely popular in Russia. It was selling like hotcakes on Christmas.
They're going there to meet these guys officially and go to the offices and see them. Right when we leave New York, this little Russian kid comes up to me and he's like, Postal, that didn't happen here, like ever. I wore my Postal shirts everywhere, and maybe at a gaming trade show someone would be like, oh, hey, Running with Scissors, but not like on an airplane. We're on an airplane and some little kid, oh, Postal. We told him, yeah, we make the video game. He lights up. He goes and tells all of his friends, and suddenly we have to like kind of interact with all these little Russian kids that we didn't really know. And it was kind of like, oh, well, maybe more Russian kids know about this than we thought. We know we made a project. We know we've sold plenty of copies. We know that like people have game posters in their house and they want to meet the people that make their game, and that's all cool. But it didn't ever really occur to me, I guess, that potentially could be me, I guess.